More than 3 million deaths, 160 million plus COVID cases, global economies decimated, countless lives devastated. And all of it completely preventable, according to this incredibly innocuous-looking virtual panel and its PowerPoint presentation.
This is an ongoing disaster that we believe could have been prevented.
The investigation, commissioned by the World Health Organization to learn lessons from the pandemic, found
that an outbreak became a pandemic because of failures, gaps and delays in preparedness and response.
News of the original outbreak too slow to get to the WHO, which had no power to investigate.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, that they can identify something but can't tell the world about it or declare it a pandemic until the host country agrees.
Well, Ben, I made exactly this point when I called for this very inquiry.
When it did have all the information, the WHO was also slow.
I'm declaring a public health emergency of international concern.
That declaration coming a week too late. The organisation also called out for its questionable travel advice.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade.
But blame also lies with complacent countries.
February was a wasted month. Despite clear warnings, far too many countries believed it would not affect them, and they adopted a wait-and-see approach.
There was also a global winner-takes-all scramble to secure the personal protective equipment, the therapeutics, and other supplies.
An attitude that's going to have to change as we deal with this pandemic and look ahead to the next. Former New Zealand Prime Minister Helen Clark is co-chair of the Pandemic Preparedness and Response Panel, and she joins us now. Helen Clark, this report is damning. So what are the key lessons that have been learned from this pandemic?
The key lessons are preparedness and speed. Starting with when a disease like this, a respiratory pathogen in the jargon, appears, take a precautionary approach. Report it immediately, share the information, no delays. The sooner the public get to hear globally that they need to take measures, the better. So what we saw was delays, failures, gaps at every stage of the process, and that carried on even after the global health emergency was called, with countries in February sitting around and for the most part doing nothing much.
Well, Helen Clark, there's every possibility, at least a possibility, the next pandemic may also arise in China. So how confident are you that you're going to get access and cooperation there next time? So obviously the WHO needs more powers, and we have likened it to the Chernobyl moment for global health. After Chernobyl, terrible nuclear safety accident, the International Atomic Energy Agency got more powers. It got the right to enter countries to inspect. There was a new treaty, and there was more information sharing and collaboration than ever before. That's what we're calling for the WHO and global health. So how certain are you that China is on board with that? Have you got any signals from them that they're interested in it, given that they've shut down a whole bunch of our export industries for just having the temerity to saying we want an inquiry?
So any new agreement about powers for WHO, probably in some form of pandemic framework treaty or changes the international health rules, it's got to be negotiated. And so, you know, one hopes that China, like all countries, will look at this report in a good spirit and say we have to do better next time, because we do have to do better next time. You know, through to the end of 2025, we're looking at a $22 trillion loss to the global economy. This is huge. You know, 125 million more people pushed back into extreme poverty. You know, people suffering in all sorts of ways, over 3 million dead. This is horrible. We don't want to repeat it. But if you don't learn the lessons of history, you are doomed to repeat them.
Well, let's hope that is the case. Helen Clark, really appreciate you speaking with us tonight.
From expert opinions to in-depth analysis and reporting, the Project YouTube brings you the biggest stories from Australia and around the globe. Hit the subscribe button now for news delivered straight to your feed.